This is rolling 8 a.m. First day of the India IS Summit. I'm joining with the runtime BRT host Caleb. Thank you so much, brother, for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much for joining. Like I was sharing with Caleb already, there's so much cool things happening in the AI Summit. I would love to ask you, bro, what's the coolest thing that you are particularly looking at?
I'm particularly looking forward to meeting startups. I think there's going to be a lot of booths. And so I think a lot of my time today on the first day of the summit is just going to be spent wandering around, meeting people, hearing what they're building. I don't know, for some people that might not be the more exciting part. They might be coming to listen to, famous people talk. For me though, that's what I'm looking forward to. And I want to see Vijay Shekhar Sharma talking as well. I think he's going to be here today.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Perfect. Now, I think few years back, I think the AI ecosystem is already moving, right? OpenAI just acquired OpenClaw, right? And a lot of people are claiming that, two opens will actually make it close. Claude, Anthropic, the company took the biggest L by not, having them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's first of all, it started as open, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, people can fork it in whatever direction they want to, and I'm trusting that that's going to happen. I'm hoping that that's going to happen, and that this acquisition doesn't actually influence the trajectory of the tool itself, because ultimately, anything that comes underneath OpenAI becomes closed, right? I mean, that's the irony of the name OpenAI, is that it's a very closed company, closed ecosystem. So I think people, whatever that thing ends up being named, or maybe they keep the name, but it'll sort of end up getting forked by the open source community. And I think that's the thing that people will actually end up migrating to. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
Absolutely. And I think, what do you think about the whole marketing behind OpenClaw? Do you think, we reaching AGI, agents actually creating their own pawn up, agents creating their own, I would say, you can actually rent a human. What do you think about all these things? Because, people are claiming that it's just clever prompting, right? But do you think we have actually reached artificially generated intelligence?
I don't like people who think that these are just like sort of simple developments. I don't think that they really fully understand how these things evolve, right? Maybe initially it does start as something simple, and you can sort of break down the individual components of it and just write it off, right? Oh, it's just this, it's just that. But then again, like, that's what every development in AI has started off as, right? Just a simple, silly little proof of concept that eventually gets like better and better, and it's sort of incremental improvement, but it accelerates so fast. I remember using like these early image generation tools like Midjourney, but also like the early version of DALL-E. Right now, OpenAI has a separate model that they're using, but for image gen, it used to look like a crazy, like, psychedelic, like, hallucination, right? It looked so bad. It was like, I think there was one called like Deep Dream or something, because it looked like a dream. And now people are confusing AI generated images for real ones, right? And all of this has happened in the span of like 2.5 years. So I think if whatever we're looking at when it comes to OpenClaw, that is sort of like, this is the worst it's ever going to be, right? Everyone always says that, but it's true. Like, in 1 year from now, these what are they called? Claude bots, right? They're going to be insane, right? 2 years from now, we're gonna be DMing Claude bots thinking that they're humans, and we're gonna be having like chats in the DMs on social media, and we're gonna be getting emails. And I mean, I'm terrified for that reality. Let me be clear. I'm not like, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I'm also terrified. It's just gonna completely fundamentally change the DNA of the internet, I think.
Absolutely. And I think, moreover, when we talk about real impact, how these AI agents can create real impact, right? I think, of course, when we talk about social issues, I think we cannot just, as Indians, or, living in a third world country, we cannot just go and blame the government to, fix all the problems, right? I think tech, especially startups, can play a huge role, fixing all these problems. Maybe NGOs can do as well, but startups, I think, can play a huge role. What do you think AI and tech can actually, like, for example, you're talking about the pothole issue. There's a lot of other infra issues that are already happening in India, right? Do you think tech and AI, and how can it, influence that?
Yeah, I definitely think that we can use. I mean, this has always been the case, right? Technology is used to ultimately improve the world that we live in every possible way, right? Like literally, the microphones that we're wearing right now, right, are an improvement from existing technology. So when it comes to AI specifically in identifying defects or issues that need to be fixed when it comes to infrastructure, I think that there's a lot of scope, but ultimately it boils down to the government being willing and open to collaborating with these, the creators of these tools, right? I think that's like citizens cannot directly, individually fix things. We have to work with the government for that. And so this platform, this tool that I'm building with this company called Anomaly, they're based in Bengaluru. What it does, what we're doing is we're building the largest database of Indian potholes. We're creating a system that will accurately be able to identify potholes in the Indian context. And then the idea is that you can pair that system with, say, a dash cam, right? And perhaps you'd need like a geolocation element to it as well. And I don't know if all dash cams do that, but the idea would be that you're just driving around, you're capturing images of potholes. Those potholes are then being mapped to a specific GPS location. And then those can be reported to the government and they can have an accurate perspective on where all of the potholes in the city are. And if it's good enough, the AI may even be able to assess the severity of the pothole, right? And so then we'll have sort of a heat map of what are the parts of the city that are the most problematic, and they can sort of focus their efforts. Because right now, there's nowhere, like they can't see, right?
Yeah.
There's no visibility. The government doesn't really know exactly where they need to focus their efforts. That's the long-term goal. Right now, the data set is really just we want to train a model to accurately identify potholes in the Indian context, and so that's why we're building this pothole data set.
Perfect. And I think one last tip that you would like to give to anyone entering the AI ecosystem.
I think the number one thing going forward, AI is going to ultimately, it's going to augment a lot of professions, a lot of industries, but I think it's also going to replace a lot of stuff. We were talking about OpenClaw earlier, right? I think much of the human activity, human behavior in this world is going to be, like AI is going to do it better. And especially once humanoids become a thing, that's actually going to extend to the physical world as well. And so I think if you're feeling anxious about that, if you're feeling insecure about that, like, is my job going to be replaced? Am I going to be replaced? I think the best thing that you can do is try to dig in and figure out what makes you, right? What makes you unique and special as a person. Like, I think the one thing that AI can't replace is your soul, right? As a person, like AI does not have a soul and it never will. It might have a synthetic version of that, but it's never going to be the real deal. And so it's like, how do you quantify that? What is it, right? What is your human soul? And then how do you sort of present that to other human beings and signal that, like, I am human, right? I am a person with a soul. How do you translate that? How do you communicate that to other people? I think if you can figure that out, and create, like, sort of develop your voice, I think that'll be a differentiator for you. Because skills are going to be replaced, right? But you as a person and your identity, that cannot be replaced. But you have to get good at communicating that, right? I think that ultimately is going to define. I mean, that's going to differentiate you from the rest of the people on this planet who will ultimately, many will be replaced.
Perfect. This is Caleb and this is NFI, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.